Hey, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are diving into a massive announcement that just came out of India, a complete overhaul of its national tax system, which they're calling GST 2.0. And trust me, this is a huge deal. It's probably going to change the price of almost everything you buy. So let's break down what this gift to the nation is really all about.
And it all kicked off with this one, really powerful line from the Prime Minister's Independence Day speech. By calling it a double Diwali gift, the government is setting a very, very clear expectation. This change is meant to feel like a celebration, a real benefit for everyday people, and it's timed perfectly for India's biggest festival.
But, to really get why this is a gift, we've first got to look at the problem it's trying to solve. For the last 8 years or so, India's Goods and Services Tax, or GST, has been kind of structured like this complicated four-layer cake. And here's what that cake actually looks like in practice. Since 2017, pretty much everything has been taxed at one of four different rates: 5%, 12%, 18%, or even a massive 28%. You can imagine the confusion this caused for consumers, and honestly, it was a huge compliance headache for businesses. So, what's the big solution? Well, it's a pretty radical simplification. The government is calling this a two-slab revolution, and it completely changes the structure we were just looking at.
The new way, when you put it side by side, is incredibly simple. The system goes from 4 different tax rates down to just 2. The 12 and 28% slabs, they're gone. All that's left is a base rate of 5% and a standard rate of 18%. Simplicity is really the name of the game here.
And this number? This is the real engine behind the whole thing, 99%. That is the percentage of items currently in that 12% tax bracket that are about to move down into the lower 5% slab. For millions and millions of people, this is the core of the tax cut, and it's going to impact countless everyday purchases. All right, so what does all this actually mean for your wallet? I mean, this policy isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet, right? It's designed to have a direct impact on household budgets all across the country. And here are the specifics. We're talking about everyday essentials. Toothpaste, soaps, packaged foods, all getting cheaper. It also covers things like clothing and footwear. Even bigger purchases like TVs, air conditioners, and refrigerators are expected to drop from that high 28% bracket down to 18%. And get this, even the cost of going out to eat is expected to fall. Now, of course, a change this massive is going to send ripples across the entire economy. It's not just about us consumers. So let's take a look at the key winners, and also the folks who are watching all of this very, very carefully. So let's break down who comes out on top here. For consumers, the win is obvious: lower prices. For small and medium-sized businesses, we call them MSMEs, the big benefit is easier compliance. We're talking less paperwork, fewer disputes. And for the government? Well, they're playing the long game. They might lose some tax revenue in the short term, but they're betting that lower prices will boost spending and lead to higher growth down the road.
And it seems like the business community agrees. The Confederation of Indian Industry, which is a major voice for businesses, they came out right away and praised the move. They called it a visionary reform that's going to boost the two things the economy really needs: people buying stuff and simpler trade.
But that brings us to a really critical question. When you make such a massive change to a country's tax revenues, can it really be good news for absolutely everyone involved? Because, there is another side to this story. State governments are worried. They rely on their share of this GST money to fund everything from schools to hospitals, and they are afraid of a major shortfall. The political opposition is demanding what they call a discussion paper for more transparency on the financial hit, and they're asking, is the compensation being offered to the states really going to be enough to cover the gap? Which kind of brings us to the strategy behind it all. Because beyond the pure economics, there is a very, very clear political angle to this whole announcement, from its timing to its messaging. See, this whole reform is being framed as a key pillar of Viksit Bharat 2047. That's the government's grand vision for a developed India by its 100th birthday. The argument they're making is that by simplifying taxes, you create a much better environment for long-term, sustainable economic growth. And just look at how fast this is all moving. This is not some 10-year plan. The announcement was made in August, consultations with all the states are happening in September, and the final rollout is planned for October, right before the Diwali festival. The pace here is incredibly fast. So when you put all the pieces together, the strategy becomes pretty clear.
It's a significant economic boost for the middle class, delivered right at the start of the biggest holiday and shopping season of the year, and it's timed perfectly ahead of several really important state elections.
Which leaves us with the central question. Is this a brilliant and necessary simplification to supercharge a rising economy, or is it a high-stakes political gamble that risks the financial health of state governments? Well, only time will tell. Thanks for joining The Explainer.